Hi, my name is Maddie, and I'm going to be talking to you about my research on Shonto Begay and the pointillistic influences on modern Navajo art. Let's kick it right off with an introduction of my artist. He was born in Navajo Nation, which is an Indian reserve, in 1954. He is a living witness to the struggles experienced by members of this tribe, which is another reason, that's why I picked him, is because he's kind of like living history, and he really shows that through his artwork. He was a professional writer, illustrator, and painter by 1983, so he is still alive and creating art. And he serves as a very influential figure among his culture, and he shows that through his art as well, through his style of choice, which is Pointillism. He is forcing discussion, or he's aiming to force discussion about what happened, and he wants to keep his experiences and others' experiences alive. And that's why his art focuses on modern Navajo life and how his culture has adapted over history. So the original art movement of Pointillism, it was originally a subset of the Neo-Impressionist movement in the 19th century through French painter Georges Seurat. Traditionally, these pieces were, they were mainly oil on canvas, so they were oil paintings. Today, though, people use photography, sculpture, unique materials such as the one on the bottom right here, to, do the same style or perform the same style of pointillism, just in a more modern way. They also don't use uniform sizes or, colors. They use, shapes. Sometimes they're 3D, like the one shown here also. I like that Shonto really uses this style because he's taking a traditional approach by using pointillism, and he's painting with acrylic paints, which is more traditional and modern because he's using a modern type of paint, and he's incorporating modern aspects because he doesn't use dots, but he uses dashes, and they kind of flow, as you'll see in some of the ones that I picked. So this was a quote that I found with an interview in an interview with him, and I decided to put this in here because I think it really explains why he uses pointillism as an art style and how it supports his message, and how it also keeps that traditional with that modern clash going on, which is, he's famous for that in all of his paintings. He likes to clash the modern and the traditional aspects of his culture. I'd like you to keep this quote in mind while we analyze the two pieces that I've chosen for him, or by him. The first piece that I've chosen is called Grandmother's Love Cup. I really like this because it's an unromanticized visual of this husband and wife, or this couple. When I say unromanticized, I really mean it's unstigmatized. So when we usually think of like a Native American painting or Native American art, it doesn't look like this. It looks very different in terms of what's in the image. And there's an aspect of irony here because you get this homey feeling, but there's also a lack of his culture in the image. But these people are obviously of his culture, of Navajo culture, as all his subjects are. But you can tell from what they're wearing, like the necklaces on the woman or the headband on the man, and the hat in the background, stuff like that, that they are of this culture, but they're also performing a very modern morning ritual. So you can find what they're doing here, like the coffee and the newspaper. What they're doing, you can find in pretty much any American home. And that kind of leads me to the cup, where it's a mass-produced object. So this cup is like an object of modern commercialism, and these people from this, presumably stigmatized culture are using it, and it provides a symbol to their family affections. It also makes the point that this couple is kind of caught in this blurry lifestyle, so it's kind of going back and forth between their traditional meaning of culture and American culture. And I think they're kind of blurred together in this image. There are two messages of irony that I picked out here. Like I just said, the muddling of Navajo culture and American culture through mass consumerism, and also the portrayal of Native Americans not as victims, like we usually see them, but as ordinary individuals. So he's really trying to get across this image of that they're just people. They're just like us. They're living like us. They're performing acts like us. Just we have a lot of stigmatized images of them, and we shouldn't. The second painting that I picked is called Helpless, and at first glance, it kind of looks like, men and women, maybe younger, are recovering from a party or some sort, like something like that. And it also gets at this, common American scene, this modern scene. But I really like this painting because the longer you look at it, it gives you this sense of discomfort from the positioning of the people. So if you look in the bottom right hand corner, he's very slumped over. The guy in the chair next to him is slumped over. And all these people kind of looked, they look like they just kind of dropped. And it kind of takes away this sense of life in the painting, and it becomes very haunting the more you look at it. And I think that the message of the painting alters the longer you look at it. And it switches between the modernity of adults having a party and the violence and internal suffering that Navajo culture has endured throughout history and still endures today. And it's a message of the dying of their culture through oppression and a lack of acknowledgement even in today's society, where we just don't really talk about this culture and what they went through from a different point of view, and all the protests going on and stuff like that. So this slide kind of makes connections of why I chose him and why I think he's important. I think that he chose Pointillism because it's rebellious. It's non-traditional, and it brings his culture into a more modern context. So he's, again, clashing that non-traditional with the traditional, and he's challenging people to talk about this. And he does it through a different point of view than we're used to. He is sharing personal adaptations that his tribe has made to become modern, and the art style that he chose, Pointillism, brings a modern feel through his traditional stuff. And it, like I said before, it destigmatizes the romantic images that we have about Native Americans. And I think it's important to American culture as a whole, because his art, or Shonto's art, really served as a reminder of our country's origins before it was even American. That there were people here before, and there was culture here before, and it's changed since then. But at the same time, he's also ensuring the survival of Native American culture through Pointillism, through becoming modern with his art and his message, because it keeps the discussion about him and his culture prevalent and meaningful. So that kind of concludes my actual presentation, but I have a little bit extra if you're willing to listen a little bit more. I was inspired by this presentation, and so I decided to go out and make my own. So my goal here was to almost make it into a children's project, so it was very doable by anyone, and I wanted to see the least amount of money I could spend on this and also create something meaningful. So keep in mind that I'm not an artist, but here is my painting that I created. So I also decided to do kind of like Grandmother's Love Cup, a kind of like, not really a jab, but kind of a message of mass consumerism. So I'll leave the rest of the, interpretation up to you, because, like modern art, it depends on the discussion it creates, not on my intention creating it. But I wanted to just kind of mention that this was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I kind of found a new appreciation for this art style by creating this, even though it was very simple. I think I spent only $20 on all the materials. I used wooden dowels to make the dots, and I just used a simple child's 9x12 canvas and some acrylic paint in the children's section. So it was really easy. The only hard part, it was really easy to assemble the things, like the tools to make it. The actual making it part was not easy. The hard part was really, coming up with a message in such a simple image. So I just kind of wanted to try this for myself, and I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to share it in, a little extra part of my presentation, which doesn't really count as a part of my presentation, but I just wanted to have this at the end because I thought it would be cool. So anyway, so that was it. I hope you enjoyed, my little surprise at the end as much as I enjoyed creating it, and thank you for listening.